What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another aircraft educational video. Today we are going to be looking at a sad incident that happened recently. I'm going to be talking about the San Diego citational plane crash that happened on May 22nd. And I'm going to give you my perspective as an aircraft maintenance engineer on the possible cause of this plane crash and how this can be prevented in the future. This incident is still under investigation by the NTSB, so these are all speculations. I get an updated information. I'm definitely going to be making more video regarding this plane crash. So first of all, let's look at some elements of this aircraft. So from what we know, it was a Cessna S550 citation. It has a registration number of November 66 Delta Sierra. So this is an American registered airline aircraft. It has a serial number of Sierra 550-056. It was manufactured in the year 1985. And this is one factor we got to consider because me personally, I have a little bit of experience with M1 smaller aircraft. And I feel like a lot of these older M1 aircraft don't have the advanced technology that an Airbus 220 has, or a 787 or an Airbus 350. I feel like if these aircraft in particular had technology, which I'm going to talk about, I feel like there are ways this accident could have been prevented, right? But although I feel like the cause of this incident is probably human factor, which I'm going to talk about. But I still also understand. I feel like if it had this advanced technology, there are ways this incident could have been prevented. For the end model, it's a Pratt and Whitney Canada JT15 Delta-4. So this is a Pratt and Whitney, it's a Canadian company, pretty good company when it comes to engine manufacturing. Although they have bad reputation with the 220 Airbus 220, but I personally still feel like they are a pretty good company when it comes to engine manufacturing. For the occupant, it has a capability of six occupants. So this is a small M1 aircraft, probably a private jet that had the capability of 6 people. So now let's look at what happened that day. According to ADSB data, on May 22nd, 2005, at about 23:15 local time, the airplane departed Teterboro Airport in New Jersey on a 3 hours 30-minute flight to Colonist James Gibraltar Airport, and later that night it had a flight to San Diego. So basically, because it's an M1 aircraft, right? It did not have the to have a direct flight from New Jersey to San Diego. So basically, they had to fly from New Jersey to Tabara, and at Tabara Airport, they probably had a refueling and also a quick service check. From Tabara, then they flew from Tabara to San Diego, right? And that is because it's a small aircraft. So from what we know, according to ATS data, during the final approach, pilots acquired about the condition at nearby airport because the ASOS at KMY airport was not working, right? And this is a factor we got to consider. This is another factor that I feel like could be the possible cause of this plane crash. So what is a ASOS? ASOS is an automotive surface observation system that gives the parameters of the weather conditions or the temperature, the visibility, right? So basically, at this airport, it was not working, right? And this is a really critical system that's really important, right? You know what I mean? This is advanced technology. So I know pilots do have, I'm not a pilot, but I know pilots they do have regulations whereby, let's say, for example, there was low visibility, right? They always have options to go to a different airport and land there, because I personally work in the airport environment whereby we have regulations whereby, if there's a low visibility service, if you drive on the taxiway or the apron, right? So, and I'm pretty sure pilots do have the same regulation. And you can actually see here, it said at the point the pilot was considering diverting to a different airport, which is the KSDM, right? I believe it was like maybe a couple minutes away from San Diego airport. But for some reason, which I don't know why, it decided to still continue flying to San Diego, right? So according to the ADS data, right, the aircraft descended below the glide scope, then add almost. So according to ADS data, right, it shows that the airplane descended below the glide scope and most likely imparted an high tension power line descending into a residential area. So because of the low visibility, the pilots could not see the runway, because of the foggy environment, and also the ASOS was not working at the airport. the pilots still to land. And because of the low visibility, they had to do everything manually because the computers were not working. There's the system on the ground, which is the ASOS, was not working, right? And apparently the runway light was not even there, was not working too. So basically, the pilot had to do everything manually. And this is something I call human factors. In maintenance, we have something called dirty dozens, and dirty dozens are human factors that plays negative role in causing aircraft incidents, and these are were actually listed because aircraft incidents have already happened previously, and these are the factors that actually cause those incidents. And I'm gonna give you guys list of what I've this I'm gonna give you guys list of human factors that I feel like played a huge role in this incident from happening and what we aircraft maintenance engineers can learn from this, right? So we have two possible causes. We have low visibility and the runway light was not working. No, the ASOS system was not working, right? So, and I'm pretty sure, like I said, pilots do have these regulations whereby, let's say, they have low visibility, they have authority, they have the power to go to a different airport. But I feel like the reason why the pilot did not do that was because of number one, pressure, right? And you guys should be like, what do you mean by pressure? What? There was no type of pressure, you know what I mean? What I mean by pressure is, like, for example, you're in a situation where, as an aircraft maintenance engineer, let's say you're in a situation whereby, you have like 10 minutes or you're already there, right? And all of a sudden, an aircraft comes with a snag, and you got to get that snag rectified because the plane is going in like next 30 minutes, right? Now you're on pressure whereby you want to get the job done as fast as possible, So that is something that if the pilot was in, whereby he only had like few minutes to land it, right? It was like, why would I spend some going to a different airport when I have like couple minutes to land, So this is another human factor. This is one human factor I feel like played a huge role on why this accident happened. The second one I'm going to talk about is the complacency, right? Complacency is when you've done something. Complacent is when you've done something a couple times, a lot of times, and you feel like you're perfect at something, right? And this is something that as we aircraft maintenance engineers do experience, because a lot of times we do tasks that are common, right? We do it every time. And I'm pretty sure pilot experience the same thing too, right? Because they fly, they take off, they land every day. This is something they have done, right? And actually they have simulation process whereby they do experience or difficult experience. So I feel like the pilot has been in situations like he has perfectly. So he had that confidence, that this could not, this is just another challenge that he has faced before, and it's something he feel like it can still get done, and this is something that an aircraft maintenance engineer, even me to myself, sometimes I feel like whenever I've done tax couple times, I have the tendency to do it fast, but we have regulations, we have manuals we got to follow, you know what I mean? And this is something we have to take into consideration. And this is another factor I feel like played a huge role in this accident. And not even talk about the runway light that was not working, right? This is a big thing that I feel like this is another factor that played a huge role in this accident. That is because imagine you having a runway light that's not been working for, apparently it was couple flights. So aircraft already with this situation, right? So I feel like the ATC guys were like so complacent. They were like, you know what? Other aircraft, other pilots have landed with this situation. 100% this all planes are safe to land with this situation, and that is where complacency comes in, because people have done it a couple times, everything went perfectly does not mean it's the right way to do it, right? The last one I'm gonna is lack of communication, right? So the pilots knew he had low visibility, right? He was aware of the low visibility, was aware of the ASOS was not working on ground in the airport, but it still had, it still put the situation in his hand. It could have diverted to a different airport. It could have went to an airport to land, and that is something we aircraft maintenance engineers, like I tell you guys, as aircraft maintenance engineers, communication is a really big thing because a lot of times you're working in unsafe environments, whereby you could cause harm to yourself and also your coworker, for example, right? You know what I mean? So for me, from my perspective as an aircraft maintenance engineer, I'm not a pilot, but from what I have read in my investigation, I personally feel like the biggest cause of these incidents is human factors. Human factors, and I'm talking about pressure, I'm talking about compliances, I'm talking about lack of communication. You know what I mean? And this is something I feel like we as aircraft maintenance engineers also are guilty of. Like I said, starting on my career, this is something I was not good at, lack of communication, and that's why I push you guys safety, 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 because we as pilots, or is we as aircraft maintenance engineers or pilots, we have almost the same we have the same responsibility. So whenever you're doing a maintenance task on aircraft, you want to make sure you take all this stuff into consideration, because you don't want to be in a situation whereby you work on a all of a sudden you get the news that the plane you work on crashed. I can't imagine that feeling. I can't imagine the feeling of losing your family member or your loved ones to like an accident that could be. And that's why I preach you guys time safety every time. And it's not because I like saying this thing, but this is stuff that can happen. This is human factor. They call it dirty dozens. They teach you guys when you're cool. Dirty dozens is that human have caused accident previously. So these are the factors I feel like are the reasons why this plane crash happened. From my perspective, I'm like 90% sure this is a human factor. It's probably the pilot's fault. Also, although the ground people, the guys, they have a lot of responsibility to this plane crash happening. From my perspective, I would still say 80% of the accident could have been pilot took more a better option. So for you guys that are on my channel, my name is Peter. I'm a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer. I make videos like this about aircraft system and also aircraft maintenance engineering. So if you want to learn more about aircraft system or the aircraft maintenance engineer, please do not forget to check out my YouTube channel. I have hundreds of videos on my channel. And also, if you want to become an aircraft maintenance engineer, I do offer a free consultation whereby I can teach you, I can learn, I can guide you through, I can mentor you on how to become an aircraft maintenance engineer. So please do not forget to check out my videos, and you can text me on Instagram. We can schedule a call. For you guys that are new to my channel, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Love you guys.